This spreadsheet contains real data from the US Census. And because it's real data, like most real data, some of the data columns are a little bit hard to interpret. Like we've got a summary level indicator. So summary level of 10 is for the whole United States. Summary level of 20 is for a region. A summary level of 40 is for an individual state. So that's going to be useful to know as we create our charts. So the first chart, we want to show Michigan's population from 2010 to 2017. All right, so if we look up here, we've got population estimates 2010. H is 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And let's find Michigan. So there's Michigan. And that's hidden. The text box is hiding my cursor. So I'm going to get this out of the way so we can actually do this and see what we're doing. All right, 10 to 2017. Hold down the control key to select those two ranges. So I'm going to insert. I'm going to use a column chart here. This is going to be fine. Okay, so I'm going to call this Michigan population 2010 through 2017. And those labels are ugly, but that's fine. I could change them, but I don't really need to. On second thought, they're just bad. So I'm going to change select data. Let's make it look professional. Okay, so I'm going to, my horizontal axis, I don't want it to be the column headers. I'm just going to click edit. So the axis labels, I can just delete everything that's there. And I could say 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. I'm going to click OK. Excel's going to format those the way they should be. So if I click edit again, it's showing up correctly, but it's going to put the equal sign and the right braces. It's going to format it just fine. So click OK. All right, let's take a look at this. Is Michigan's population increasing quite a bit or not? Well, we can make this chart as misleading as we want it to. So let's format this axis. If we make the minimum 0, we have a very different view of Michigan's population change between 2010 and 2017. We're going from 9.8 million to 9.96 million or so. It's not changing all that much, but I can change this to make it look like, oh man, Michigan's growing just crazy. So let's say it's like, what was this value? 9,876,731. What if I make this 9,800,123, hit enter. Okay, I want to get these values as close to the bottom as possible. So I'll make this 987. 987,0,0,0. Oh, that's looking good. I am manipulating this data quite a bit to tell a very different story. And the maximum, that maximum's looking pretty good. So this is one way that you can lie with graphics. Check every time you see somebody report findings, look at the axis labels. This is not starting at 0. If I tried to report this in a scientific conference, for example, people would slap my hand and tell me I was trying to pull the wool over their eyes. But you look at news agencies, some of them will do this to try to tell a story. Like, look at Michigan's fantastic growing population. When really, if we change the axis to start at 0, it tells a different story. Okay, so that's one way. So it's one way you can create the chart, format the axis labels, and then either tell one of two very different stories. Either Michigan's population is staying relatively stable, or Michigan's population is growing every single year by leaps and bounds with the exact same data. All right, so I'm going to just delete this to get that out of the way because we want to create a stacked chart for the western states. So region 4 between 2010 and 2017. So region, I've got that in column B. Region 4 is the western region. And so let's go down to region 4. I'm going to freeze my panes. View, free, oops, daisy. Freeze panes, freeze panes. All right, so I can see what my labels are. So I'm selecting the right data. So I've got region 4 starting on this row. I'm going to select all of these. Let's see, we'll want all the state names. Then I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to select the populations through column O. That's going to be good. So let's go to Insert. Let's look at the recommended charts it has for us. A lot of these charts are no good. What if we stack it up? Okay, this will be interesting. Let's just go ahead and create this. Let's see what Excel create. You can see we've got two different views of the data, depending on what we want to show on the x-axis or y-axis. So here on the left, we've got this chart, which is showing the states on the x-axis and their populations on the y-axis. So this is not going to show me the change in population over time. This is just going to show me kind of a weird view of how each state is changing over time, with 2010 on the bottom of that stack and 2017 on the top of that stack. I would not prefer this view. There might be instances where this is useful. If we look at this though, this will show me how these values are changing over time. That's the one I want. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to call this Western State Population Changes. Changes 2010 through 2017. So this shows me the total. So if I look at the height of these bars, I should see some an increase over time. The total, the sum height of those bars will get bigger if the net population, the sum of that population is changing in all of those states put together. Look at this series. These categories are no good. I don't have that in a friendly to read region, otherwise I could use cell references there. But that's looking good. So I can see over time kind of the share of the population. So I can see it seems like the proportion of the population is staying relatively stable over time. If, for example, let's say there was a mass migration from California to Arizona, we would be able to see that in this chart with, the gray value for California shrinking and the value for Arizona growing. What's that color? Beigeish orange, you might call that. So this chart type works to represent this data. Okay. It's hard to extract a lot of meaningful information because the values are fairly stable in this time period, but it works just fine.